Imagine you are walking down a familiar street. Suddenly, you trip and fall, scraping your knee. The pain is sharp, immediate, and undeniable. But as you sit there, you notice something interesting. The pain doesn't last forever. It fades away. Just like that, pain in life can be temporary. Yet, how often do we allow the pain, whether it's emotional, physical, or mental, to take over our lives, making it feel like we're stuck in a never-ending struggle? Now, think about the last time you faced a difficult situation. Did it feel like the weight of the world was on your shoulders? Did you feel helpless, lost, or confused? Pain, in all its forms, is a part of being human. But what if, instead of running from it, we could face it with clarity and understanding? What if the very pain we dread could become a path to growth and peace? How we deal with pain when it feels overwhelming? Is there a way to transform our suffering into something meaningful? In this video, we'll explore how Buddhist teachings can offer profound insights to help you navigate through life's toughest moments. We'll dive into ways that allow you to find peace amidst pain and learn how to approach suffering with a calm, open heart. Before we begin, I want to remind you that there are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of viewers subscribed. So please, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Wisdom Woven. And don't forget to drop down your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. In the coming parts, we will uncover life-changing wisdom that can help you shift your perspective on pain and suffering. Together, we'll discover how to live with more peace, more understanding, and more strength. Let's begin this transformative journey. The nature of suffering, seeing clearly without resistance. Suffering is something we all experience in different forms. It comes in waves, sometimes gently, sometimes crashing down on us like a storm. But why does it seem so persistent? Why does it feel like no matter how hard we try to escape pain, it always finds us? In the Buddhist tradition, suffering is not something to be feared or avoided. Instead, it is something to be understood. Once we understand it, we can learn to face it without being overwhelmed by it. Imagine a beautiful tree standing tall in the middle of a forest. Over time, it has weathered many storms, heavy winds, torrential rain, and scorching sun. The tree doesn't resist these forces of nature. It simply bends and sways, allowing itself to move with the changes. And in doing so, it remains rooted, unbroken. This tree teaches us an important lesson. Suffering, like the weather, is a natural part of life. Just as the tree doesn't try to fight the storm, we, too, don't need to fight our suffering. When we stop resisting pain, it loses its power over us. Suffering is an inevitable part of being human. It can come in many forms: emotional pain, physical pain, loss, disappointment, fear, or even just the frustration of daily life. We may think that avoiding pain will bring us happiness, but the truth is, trying to escape pain often creates more suffering. We may cling to things that we think will protect us from pain, like comfort, security, or control. But the more we cling, the more we invite suffering into our lives. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from our attachments. We become attached to people, things, outcomes, and even ideas about how our lives should be. When things don't go the way we expect, we feel pain. But if we understand that everything in life is temporary, we can begin to let go of these attachments. This doesn't mean we stop caring or stop enjoying life. It simply means we learn to embrace the impermanent nature of everything around us. We learn to appreciate things without holding on to them tightly, knowing that they, too, will change. When we resist suffering, we only create more pain for ourselves. Resistance makes the pain feel stronger, more intense, and more lasting. Think about the last time you faced something difficult. Perhaps you tried to push it away, ignore it, or pretend it wasn't there. How did that work out for you? Chances are, the more you resisted, the more painful it became. But when you allowed yourself to feel the pain without judgment, When you accepted it as part of your experience, it may have started to lose its grip on you. You may have found that the pain wasn't as overwhelming as it seemed when you stopped fighting it. Acceptance is not about liking the pain or wanting it to stay. It's about acknowledging that pain is here, and in that acknowledgement we find freedom. By accepting suffering, we take away its power to control us. We no longer need to run from it or push it away. Instead, we can face it with a calm mind, understanding that it too will pass. This is the first step in transforming our relationship with pain. One of the most powerful teachings in Buddhism is the idea that suffering is not an isolated event. It is part of a larger cycle. When we begin to understand the nature of suffering, we see that it is interconnected with everything in life. We may feel pain from a personal loss, but we can recognize that others, too, experience loss and grief. We may suffer from illness or injury, but we realize that pain is something all living beings endure. This shared experience of suffering connects us to one another and to the world around us. And when we see suffering in this way, it can become a source of compassion rather than fear. When we approach suffering with compassion, we open ourselves to healing. This doesn't mean we ignore our pain or pretend it doesn't matter. Rather, it means we hold our pain with kindness. We acknowledge it without judgment or resistance. Just as we would comfort a friend who is in pain, we can comfort ourselves with gentle awareness and love. We can say to ourselves, "This is hard. This is difficult, but I will get through this. I will be okay." In Buddhism, there's a practice called mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in each moment, without judgment. When we practice mindfulness, we become aware of our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without trying to change or fix them. This allows us to see our suffering clearly, without the filters of fear, anger, or anxiety. When we can see our pain clearly, we no longer need to run from it. We can simply be with it, knowing that it is just one part of the larger experience of life. Through mindfulness, we can observe our suffering without becoming attached to it. This is the key to transforming pain into wisdom. When we stop identifying with our pain, when we stop seeing it as something that defines us, we free ourselves from its grip. We realize that pain is just a passing experience, not our entire reality. And in this realization, we find peace. It's important to remember that accepting suffering doesn't mean we stop working to improve our lives. We can still make choices that lead to healing and growth. But when we stop resisting pain, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. We allow ourselves to experience life more fully, without the burden of fear and resistance. In every painful situation, there's an opportunity to learn. Each challenge we face has the potential to teach us something valuable about ourselves and the world. The Buddhist teachings remind us that suffering is not something to be avoided or feared. It is something to be understood. And when we understand it, we can begin to find peace in the midst of it. When we stop fighting our suffering, we create space for healing. We allow ourselves to feel our pain without judgment, knowing that it is a temporary part of the larger flow of life. This shift in perspective, moving from resistance to acceptance, can transform our relationship with pain. We no longer see suffering as something that controls us. Instead, we see it as something we can work with, something that can guide us on our journey toward peace and understanding. In the next parts of this series, we will explore how to deepen this understanding in practice, offering tools and insights to help you navigate through life's painful moments with more clarity and grace. Impermanence, the gentle truth behind all pain. Life is a river, constantly flowing, never stagnant. You may think that the pain you're feeling today is something that will last forever, but just like the river, everything flows and changes. The pain you experience in any moment, no matter how intense, is just one wave in the endless stream of time. It is temporary. This is one of the most profound truths that Buddhism teaches us: impermanence. When we face a painful situation, we often feel like it is the end of the world. The pain feels overwhelming, as if it will consume us forever. But what we forget in the midst of that pain is that everything in life is always changing. Nothing stays the same. Even the most intense suffering eventually fades. If you take a deep breath and let yourself feel the pain without fighting it, you might begin to notice that it doesn't remain constant. It shifts, it changes, and with time, it fades away. Think of a storm. When a storm begins, it can feel terrifying. The winds howl, the rain pours, and the sky seems dark and unrelenting. But even the fiercest storm cannot last forever. Eventually, the clouds part, the winds die down, and the sun begins to shine again. The same is true for emotional and mental pain. It might feel like the storm will never end, but it always does. In those moments when you feel overwhelmed by pain, remind yourself, this too shall pass. But why is it so hard for us to accept this? Why do we cling to our pain as if it defines us? The truth is, we often forget the impermanent nature of all things. We want to hold on to what is familiar, even if it hurts. We want to hold on to our suffering, believing that it is somehow a part of who we are. We wrap ourselves in it like a heavy coat, thinking that is all we have left. But when we do this, we only make our pain worse. We resist the flow of life, and in doing so, we make it harder for ourselves to heal. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from our attachments. We cling to the things we think we cannot live without: a person, a place, a situation, or even an idea. When those things change or are taken away, we feel pain. But this is not because the world is cruel. It is because we are holding on to something that is not meant to last. When we let go of our attachments, we can begin to experience the truth of impermanence. Everything changes, and that is not something to fear. It is something to embrace. Let's take a moment to think about something in your life that you've struggled to let go of. It could be a relationship that ended, a job you lost, or a dream that didn't come true. How did you feel when that happened? Most likely, you felt sadness, frustration, or even anger. You might have thought that you could never move on from it. But if you look back now, you'll see that life has moved on. You have moved on. The pain you felt then is not as intense now as it was before. The storm has passed, and you've learned to navigate through it. That is the nature of impermanence. In Buddhism, the concept of impermanence is not something to be feared or avoided. It is something to be understood and accepted. When we accept that everything is in a constant state of change, we begin to see that nothing is truly permanent. Not the joy we experience, nor the pain we feel. This understanding helps us to let go of the need to control everything in our lives. We can stop trying to hold on to what is slipping away and instead learn to flow with life's natural rhythm. There's a story in Buddhist teachings about a woman who lost her child. She was devastated, unable to accept the loss. She went to the Buddha, asking him to bring her child back to life. The Buddha, with great compassion, told her to find a mustard seed from a household that had never experienced death. She set off, visiting every home in the village, but she could not find a household that had not been touched by death. Every person she met had lost someone they loved. When she returned to the Buddha, she finally understood. Death, like all things, is part of life. Pain, too, is temporary, just like everything else. This realization allowed her to begin her healing journey. This story highlights the core of what impermanence teaches us. Nothing lasts forever. Our pain, our joys, our successes, and our failures, they all come and go. If we can learn to embrace the changing nature of life, we can free ourselves from the fear of loss and the suffering that comes with it. We can learn to be present in the moment, without clinging to the past or worrying about the future. In times of suffering, it is important to remind yourself that this moment is not forever. The pain you feel today is a temporary visitor. When you allow yourself to feel it, acknowledge it, and let it pass, you open yourself to the possibility of healing. Just as the storm gives way to calm skies, your pain too will eventually fade. The key is to stay present and trust in the process of life. Life is a journey, and along the way, we will encounter many painful experiences. But if we remember the truth of impermanence, we can face each challenge with a sense of peace. We don't need to fight against the waves of pain. We simply need to ride them with awareness and acceptance. In doing so, we allow ourselves to move through the pain without being overwhelmed by it. When you're going through a difficult time, take a deep breath and remind yourself, this too shall pass. Just as everything else in life, the pain will eventually fade, and you will emerge stronger, wiser, and more at peace. With this understanding, you can approach life's challenges with a calm heart, knowing that impermanence is not something to fear, but something to embrace. It is the very nature of life itself. Attachment and aversion, the roots of emotional turmoil. Life is full of things we want and things we want to avoid. We chase after the things that bring us comfort and joy, and we try to push away the things that cause us pain or discomfort. But in doing so, we often find ourselves caught in a cycle of desire and fear, constantly seeking and avoiding. This is the root of much of our emotional turmoil. Attachment to what we want and aversion to what we don't leads us into a never-ending struggle. Imagine a simple example. Picture holding a hot cup of tea in your hands. At first, it feels comforting, warm, and soothing. You enjoy the heat on a chilly day. But if you hold that cup for too long, the heat begins to burn. What once felt good now begins to hurt. If you keep holding on to that cup, thinking it will bring you comfort, you will only cause yourself pain. In life, we do the same thing. We attach ourselves to things, people, ideas, or situations, thinking they will bring us lasting happiness. But when we refuse to let go, we end up in suffering. Attachment is like that cup. When we hold on too tightly to something, we can't see that it may not be good for us in the long run. We may attach ourselves to people, relationships, or things that bring temporary joy, but eventually, those things change, or we lose them altogether. This is where suffering begins. We want to hold on to what makes us feel good, and when it slips away, we are left with pain and disappointment. But what about aversion? The opposite side of the same coin. When something we don't like enters our life, be an uncomfortable situation, a person we don't get along with, or an unpleasant emotion, we often push it away with all our strength. We avoid facing the discomfort, thinking that if we can just get rid of it, we'll be at peace. However, this avoidance doesn't bring peace. Instead, it only builds resistance. The more we resist, the more we strengthen our attachment to the idea of things being different than they are. In Buddhist teachings, we learn that both attachment and aversion arise from a misunderstanding of the nature of life. We believe that we can control everything, hold on to what we like, and push away what we don't. But life is not so simple. It is constantly changing, and we are not in control of every outcome. When we understand this, we begin to see that attachment and aversion are two sides of the same coin of suffering. Take, for example, the story of the Buddha's journey to enlightenment. Before he became the Buddha, he was a prince named Siddhartha. He lived a life of luxury, surrounded by wealth, beauty, and comfort. But despite all the pleasures, he felt a deep emptiness inside. He wanted to find the truth about life, so he left everything behind to search for meaning. Through his journey, he came to understand that both attachment and aversion were the sources of human suffering. He realized that attachment to pleasure and the desire for comfort only lead to disappointment when we can't keep those things forever. On the other hand, aversion to pain and discomfort keeps us trapped in fear and avoidance, never allowing us to face life as it truly is. The Buddha taught that the path to freedom lies in letting go of both. learning to face life's challenges without clinging to what we desire or running from what we fear. This teaching is not about rejecting everything or becoming indifferent. It's about seeing things as they are and accepting that nothing in life is permanent. When we cling to people, things, or even ideas, we are bound to suffer because they will change and we will have to let go. Likewise, when we push away experiences or emotions that feel uncomfortable, we only add more resistance to our lives. So, what does it mean to let go of attachment and aversion? It doesn't mean we stop caring or stop enjoying the good things in life. It means we learn to appreciate them without holding on too tightly. We enjoy the beauty of a relationship, knowing that change is inevitable, but not allowing the fear of loss to stop us from fully experiencing it. We face discomfort, knowing that it too is temporary and will pass, just like the hot cup of tea eventually cools down. When we stop trying to control everything, when we stop attaching ourselves to the idea of permanent pleasure and pushing away temporary discomfort, we begin to find peace. Life becomes more manageable, less overwhelming. We can be present with the joys and sorrows, the highs and lows, without letting them control us. This is the essence of Buddhist wisdom, to live in harmony with the flow of life, without clinging or resisting, and to accept the world as it is. But this is not easy. It requires practice and mindfulness. It means being aware of our attachments and aversions as they arise and learning to let go of them. It's about developing the strength to face the truth of impermanence and accept that we cannot hold on to everything forever. The more we practice, the more we become free from the grip of attachment and aversion, and the more we begin to experience peace, even in the midst of life's challenges. In every moment, we are given a choice to hold on or to let go, to resist or to accept. It is in these choices that our suffering and peace are shaped. The path to freedom is not about finding the perfect solution or escaping from pain, but about learning to navigate life with a heart that is open, willing to experience whatever comes, and able to let go of what is no longer serving us. As you move through life, notice when you're attached to something or when you're avoiding something. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, can I let go? Can I be with this moment, just as it is, without trying to change it or control it? It is through these small, conscious acts of letting go that we begin to find true freedom and peace. Mindfulness, meeting pain without fear. When we think about pain, our natural instinct is to run away from it. We try to avoid it, push it aside, or distract ourselves, hoping that it will go away on its own. But in reality, the more we resist pain, the more we struggle with it. What if there was another way? What if instead of running from pain, we could meet it fully, without fear or judgment? This is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, without trying to change or control what's happening. It means simply noticing what is without adding our thoughts, judgments, or reactions to it. And when it comes to pain, mindfulness offers us a way to experience it without becoming overwhelmed by it. Imagine, for a moment, you're sitting quietly and a painful memory comes up. Maybe it's a loss, a disappointment, or a difficult experience you've had. Most of us would immediately want to push that memory away, to escape it. But mindfulness asks us to do something different. Instead of avoiding it, we are invited to simply be with it. We allow the pain to be there without trying to fix it or run away from it. We sit with it, observing it as it is, with curiosity rather than fear. It may sound simple, but this approach is deeply transformative. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see that pain is not something to fear or resist. It is just another part of our experience, like any other emotion or sensation. And like everything else in life, pain is impermanent. It will come and go, just like the waves of the ocean. The key is to stop fighting it and to start accepting it as it is. When we accept pain, we create space for healing. Mindfulness allows us to be kind to ourselves, even in our moments of suffering. Rather than judging ourselves for feeling pain or thinking that we should be stronger or better, mindfulness reminds us that it is okay to feel what we feel. There is no shame in pain. It is part of being human, part of the human condition. By embracing it, we open the door to understanding and growth. One of the most powerful things about mindfulness is that it teaches us not to attach to our pain. When we resist pain, we often become attached to it, holding on to the feelings of hurt and sorrow. We replay the same thoughts over and over in our minds, reinforcing the pain and making it feel even more intense. But mindfulness helps us to see that pain, like all things, is temporary, is a passing moment, not something that defines us. The next time you are in a painful situation, try practicing mindfulness. Sit quietly and focus on your breath. Notice the sensations in your body, the thoughts in your mind, and the emotions in your heart. Don't try to change anything. Just observe. When pain arises, acknowledge it without judgment. Don't label it as bad or unpleasant. Instead, simply recognize it for what it is, a feeling, a sensation, a part of the moment. By doing this, you begin to separate yourself from the pain. You're no longer overwhelmed by it, because you're not trying to push it away. You're simply letting it be. Over time, this practice becomes easier. As we develop mindfulness, we become less reactive to pain. We don't let it control us, because we know that it is just one part of our experience. It is not who we are. We are not our pain, just as we are not our joy or our success. We are something deeper, something that transcends all of these fleeting experiences. Mindfulness helps us reconnect with this deeper part of ourselves, the part that is always at peace, no matter what is happening on the surface. Mindfulness also allows us to be present in the moment, rather than getting caught up in the past or future. Often, our pain comes from reliving past hurts or worrying about future struggles. But mindfulness teaches us to stay rooted in the present, where pain is less overwhelming. By focusing on the here and now, we stop adding layers of unnecessary suffering to our pain. We stop imagining worst-case scenarios or replaying old wounds. Instead, we simply experience the pain as it is, without adding to it with our thoughts and stories. In Buddhist teachings, there's a concept known as equanimity. It is the ability to remain balanced and calm in the face of both pleasure and pain. Mindfulness is one of the most effective ways to cultivate equanimity. When we are mindful, we do not get caught up in the highs and lows of life. We do not let our pain define us, and we do not let our happiness control us. We remain centered, like a calm lake, regardless of the storms around us. Equanimity does not mean that we are indifferent to pain or that we don't feel it. Rather, it means that we do not allow pain to control our lives. We can feel pain without being consumed by it. We can experience suffering without becoming stuck in it. Mindfulness is the key to this kind of balance. Through mindfulness, we also learn to cultivate compassion, not only for others but for ourselves. When we face pain, we often judge ourselves harshly. We tell ourselves that we shouldn't be feeling this way, that we should be stronger or more resilient. But mindfulness allows us to let go of these self-judgments. It teaches us to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a friend in pain. When we are compassionate with ourselves, we create space for healing. In practicing mindfulness, we can also notice patterns in our responses to pain. Maybe we tend to shut down when we're hurt, or maybe we lash out in anger. By observing ourselves mindfully, we can begin to recognize these patterns without judgment. We see them for what they are, just habits, just reactions. And with that awareness comes the opportunity for change. Mindfulness gives us the space to break free from old patterns and to respond to pain in a more mindful, peaceful way. As we continue to practice mindfulness, we also begin to notice the beauty in the present moment, even amidst pain. It is easy to get caught up in the darkness of suffering, but mindfulness helps us see the light that still exists, even in difficult times. It reminds us that pain is just one part of our experience, and that there is always more to life than what we are feeling in a moment. By staying present, we open ourselves to the possibility of peace, even in the midst of pain. So, the next time you find yourself facing pain, remember that you do not have to face it alone. Mindfulness can be your guide, helping you to meet pain without fear, to sit with it without judgment, and to heal from it with kindness. Through mindfulness, you can transform your relationship with pain, turning it from something to avoid into something that teaches you and helps you grow. The more you practice mindfulness, the more you will see how deeply it can change your experience of life. You will find that pain no longer has the same power over you. You will be able to face it with a calm heart, knowing that it is just another passing moment in the endless flow of life. And in doing so, you will discover a deep and lasting peace that comes not from avoiding pain, but from embracing it with understanding and love. Compassion for self, healing the inner wounds. In life, we often face pain, sometimes physical, sometimes emotional. But the most difficult pain can be the one we carry within ourselves. The pain of self-doubt, the wounds of past mistakes, the scars left by others' words or actions. It's easy to forget that we are also deserving of kindness, especially when we feel lost or hurt. But here's a thought. What if we treated ourselves with the same compassion that we offer to others? Imagine for a moment that you've just made a mistake. Maybe it's a decision you regret, or maybe it's something that hurts someone you care about. You feel awful. The inner critic starts talking, telling you that you're not good enough, that you'll never be able to make it right. That voice feels so loud, so strong, that you start to believe it. But what if, instead of letting that voice control you, you chose to show yourself compassion? In Buddhism, there's a practice known as loving-kindness meditation. This practice encourages us to extend love and compassion to ourselves first before we offer it to others. It's the idea that we cannot fully love or care for others if we don't first offer that same kindness to ourselves. This doesn't mean being selfish or indulgent. It means acknowledging that we are human, that we will make mistakes, and that, just like everyone else, we deserve forgiveness and understanding. Self-compassion is the foundation of healing. When we experience pain, whether it's caused by a mistake, a loss, or someone else's actions, it's easy to fall into a trap of self-blame or resentment. We can get stuck in the past, replaying the hurt over and over, wishing we could change things. But this kind of thinking doesn't help us move forward. It keeps us anchored to the past, unable to heal. When we practice self-compassion, we allow ourselves to feel the pain, but we don't let it define us. Instead of beating ourselves up, we recognize the suffering, acknowledge it, and allow it to pass. We don't ignore the pain. We embrace it, knowing that pain, like everything else, is impermanent. Just as joy comes and goes, so too does suffering. But if we're too harsh on ourselves, we prolong the pain. By showing ourselves compassion, we give ourselves the space to heal and grow. It's important to remember that self-compassion doesn't mean letting ourselves off the hook or avoiding responsibility. It doesn't mean we don't learn from our mistakes or make amends. What it means is that we stop punishing ourselves for being human. We stop expecting perfection, and instead, we aim for progress. The goal isn't to eliminate mistakes from our lives, but to learn to deal with them with kindness and wisdom. In Buddhism, there's a teaching called the Four Noble Truths, which explains the nature of suffering and how to overcome it. The first truth tells us that suffering is a part of life. We cannot escape it, no matter how hard we try. But the second truth teaches us that suffering is caused by attachment to our desires, our expectations, and even our sense of self. When we attach ourselves to the idea of being perfect, when we expect ourselves to always get it right, we create unnecessary suffering. But when we let go of these expectations, we can begin to accept ourselves as we are, flaws and all. When we can accept ourselves, we open the door to healing. We stop being our own harshest critic and start being our own greatest ally. This doesn't mean we stop striving to be better or to improve. It simply means that we stop letting our flaws define our worth. We recognize that we are worthy of love, no matter what. Consider the way you might treat a friend who is going through a hard time. You wouldn't scold them for feeling pain. You wouldn't tell them they should have done better or that they're not good enough. Instead, you would offer your support, your understanding, and your love. You would help them see that they are worthy of compassion, just as they are. So, why not offer yourself that same kindness? Healing comes when we allow ourselves to be human. It comes when we stop fighting against the pain and instead allow ourselves to feel it fully without judgment. Pain is not something to fear or avoid. It's something to understand. It's a teacher guiding us toward greater wisdom and self-awareness. But we can't learn from it if we're too busy criticizing ourselves for feeling it in the first place. One way to practice self-compassion is through mindfulness. When we practice mindfulness, we become aware of our thoughts and emotions without judgment. We observe them, but we don't let them control us. This practice helps us to stop identifying with our pain. We start to see it as something separate from us, something that is fleeting rather than something that defines who we are. Self-compassion also means taking care of ourselves. It's about nourishing our bodies, minds, and spirits. When we're going through a tough time, it's easy to neglect ourselves, forgetting to rest, eat well, or do things that make us feel good. But self-compassion involves nurturing ourselves, just as we would nurture a friend in need. It means saying no when we need rest, and saying yes to the things that bring us joy and peace. It's important to remind ourselves that we don't have to have all the answers. Life isn't about being perfect. It's about learning, growing, and evolving. We all have our struggles, our flaws, our mistakes. But when we approach these things with compassion, we allow ourselves to grow through them rather than being held back by them. By practicing self-compassion, we start to see that we are not our mistakes. We are not our pain. We are not our past. We are human, and being human means experiencing both joy and suffering. But in the midst of all that, we can choose to be kind to ourselves, to treat ourselves with the love and understanding that we deserve. When we show ourselves compassion, we create space for healing. And from that healing, we find the strength to face whatever comes our way. Life will always bring challenges, but with self-compassion, we can navigate through them with a clear heart and a peaceful mind. In the end, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. If you can treat yourself with kindness, acceptance, and love, you'll find that the pain you once carried will begin to fade. It won't define you anymore, and in its place will be a deep sense of peace and resilience. Letting go, a Buddhist way to lighten the heart. In life, we often hold on to things, ideas, people, possessions, and even past experiences, believing that they are essential for our happiness or identity. But what happens when these attachments weigh us down? What happens when we cling to the past or fear the future? The answer is simple. We create unnecessary pain and suffering for ourselves. To truly experience peace, we must learn to let go. Letting go is not about forgetting or abandoning what matters to us. It's about releasing the emotional grip that these things have on our hearts and minds. It's about recognizing that holding on tightly to anything, whether it's a person, a memory, or a desire, only creates more pain. When we let go, we free ourselves from the burden of attachment, and we allow space for new experiences and new possibilities. Think of a tree during autumn. Its leaves fall freely to the ground, without resistance, because it knows that this is part of the cycle of life. The tree does not hold on to its leaves, even though they have served it well in the past. It lets them go, trusting that new leaves will grow in time. This natural process is a beautiful metaphor for letting go in our own lives. We too must learn to release the things that no longer serve us. This could be the memory of a painful experience, the grudge we've been holding on to for years, or the fear that has been stopping us from moving forward. It's not easy, of course. Letting go requires trust. It requires the courage to accept that change is inevitable and that we cannot control everything. But once we let go, we make space for something new. We make space for healing. In Buddhism, we often talk about the importance of non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean indifference or coldness. It means having a relationship with the world without clinging to it. It's about experiencing life fully and openly, without being trapped by our expectations or desires. We can enjoy the people, things, and experiences in our lives without needing to hold on to them tightly. When we let go of attachment, we open ourselves up to freedom. We are no longer bound by the past or shackled by fear of the future. We are free to live in the present moment with a lighter heart and a clearer mind. Letting go allows us to stop being controlled by our emotions and thoughts, and instead, we become more present to the beauty of each moment as it unfolds. But letting go is not a one-time event. It's a continuous process. Each day, we are faced with new opportunities to release what no longer serves us. It could be as simple as letting go of the need to be right in a conversation, or as profound as letting go of the pain of a past relationship. Whatever it is, the act of letting go is an ongoing practice, one that we can return to every time we feel ourselves holding on too tightly. For many of us, the hardest part of letting go is the fear of what will happen if we do. We worry that if we release our attachments, we will lose something important or valuable. But in truth, letting go creates space for growth and transformation. It allows us to become more adaptable, more open to life's changes, and more resilient in the face of challenges. Consider the example of a person who has lost a loved one. Grief can be all-consuming, and the pain of loss can feel unbearable. But if we hold on to the grief and refuse to let go, we only prolong our suffering. Letting go of the attachment to that person's physical presence does not mean forgetting them or stopping our love for them. It simply means accepting the reality of the situation and allowing ourselves to move forward, keeping the love and the memories in a healthy, peaceful place in our hearts. Letting go also means releasing the attachment to our own expectations. How often do we find ourselves disappointed because life did not turn out the way we expected? We have a vision of how things should be, and when reality doesn't meet that vision, we feel upset. But life is not meant to be controlled. It's meant to be lived. When we let go of our rigid expectations and allow life to unfold naturally, we find that it is much easier to navigate the ups and downs with grace. One of the greatest teachings of Buddhism is that everything is impermanent. Nothing stays the same forever, and everything is subject to change. This truth is both liberating and frightening. It means that the things we hold on to so tightly, our possessions, our relationships, our achievements, will one day fade away. But it also means that every painful moment will eventually pass, just as every joyful moment will eventually fade. Everything is temporary. Understanding this impermanence helps us to let go, because we realize that nothing in life is permanent, and clinging to anything only creates suffering. The practice of letting go can be applied in every area of our lives. In relationships, we can let go of the need to control others or the desire to keep things the same. In our careers, we can let go of the idea that success will bring lasting happiness. In our health, we can let go of the fear of aging or illness. By letting go of these attachments, we free ourselves from the grip of anxiety and fear, and we become more open to the flow of life. In meditation, we practice letting go by simply observing our thoughts and feelings without getting attached to them. When a thought arises, we notice it, but we do not hold on to it. We allow it to pass, just as clouds pass across the sky. This practice of non-attachment helps us to develop a sense of inner peace and clarity. We learn that we are not our thoughts, and that we do not need to be controlled by them. This is one of the most profound ways that we can let go and find freedom. It's important to remember that letting go does not mean rejecting or denying our feelings. It means accepting them without judgment and allowing them to flow through us without clinging to them. When we accept our emotions rather than fighting against them, we create space for healing. We give ourselves permission to feel what we feel without attaching a story or a judgment to it. This is a powerful way to lighten the heart and free ourselves from the burden of emotional suffering. Finally, letting go is an act of trust. It requires us to trust in the flow of life and in the wisdom of our own hearts. It means trusting that even when things seem difficult or uncertain, we are exactly where we need to be. When we let go, we trust that life will continue to unfold and that we will be able to face whatever comes our way with strength and resilience. By practicing letting go, we find a deeper sense of peace and freedom, knowing that we are not bound by anything, whether it's the past, the future, or our own expectations. As we learn to let go, we begin to see that the pain we once carried was not something we had to hold on to. It was simply a passing moment, like a leaf falling from a tree. We can choose to release it, and in doing so, we create space for joy, peace, and love to enter our hearts. Letting go is not just an act of releasing. It's an act of opening ourselves to the present moment, to new possibilities, and to the limitless potential of our own lives. Right view, right thought, transforming pain into wisdom. Sit down gently. Breathe. Let's begin. The wind comes and goes, the clouds form and drift. In the same way, pain comes and goes in our life. It is like weather. We cannot stop it, but we can understand it. And through that understanding, something beautiful can happen. That beauty is called wisdom. Many people try to fight pain. They say, "This should not be happening to me." They resist. They tighten their body, their mind, and their heart. But the more you fight pain, the stronger it becomes. The Buddha did not teach us to fight suffering. He taught us to see it clearly. When we see pain clearly, we begin to understand it. This understanding is called right view. Right view is the first step on a path. It means we stop asking, "Why me?" and we start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" When a storm comes, the tree does not shout at the sky. It bends. It listens. In the same way, we must learn to bend with pain, to sit with it, to see it not as an enemy, but as a teacher. Pain often comes when something we are attached to is taken away. A loved one, our health, a dream, a memory, a plan, but everything in life changes. This is the truth. Right view helps us accept this truth. Everything rises and falls. Birth, death, gain, loss, joy, sorrow. These are the waves of life. You cannot stop the waves, but you can learn to ride them. You can learn not to drown in them. Once we begin to see pain with right view, something else begins to shift. Our thoughts begin to change. This is the next step, right thought. Most people, when they suffer, fill their minds with negative thinking. I am unlucky. No one understands me. Life is unfair. But these thoughts only make the pain deeper, like pouring salt into a wound. Right thought is gentle. It whispers, "This pain is here, but it is not all of me." It says, "This moment hurts, but it will pass." Right thought is not about pretending everything is fine. It is not about smiling when your heart is breaking. It is about being honest, but also kind. Kind to yourself, kind to others. Let us say you have lost someone. The grief is heavy. That is natural. But if your thoughts say, "I will never be okay again," that is not helpful. That is the mind creating extra pain. Right thought says, "This hurts. I miss them, but I will take care of myself. I will keep walking." These thoughts are like small lights in a dark room. Some people think that wisdom means being without emotions. That is not true. A wise person feels pain deeply, but they do not become lost in it. They see pain as part of the path. Just like rain nourishes the soil, pain can nourish our heart. It can make us softer, more open, more alive. But only if we meet it with the right view and the right thoughts. In the Zen way, we say, let everything be your teacher, even the hard days, even the tears, especially the tears. When we stop asking for life to be different, and instead ask how we can grow from this moment, something opens. This opening is wisdom. You begin to carry your pain differently, not as a heavy stone, but as a part of your story, a part that shaped you, not destroyed you. A person once asked the Buddha, "Why do I suffer?" The Buddha said, "Because you believe you should not." This is the heart of right view. We suffer not only because pain exists, but because we resist it. We believe life should go our way. But life does not follow our plans. It follows its own path. And when we begin to walk with life, instead of against it, the struggle softens. Right thought follows naturally. When your view is clear, your thoughts become peaceful. And peaceful thoughts are powerful. They do not ignore reality. They honor it. But they also point you toward healing. You begin to speak to yourself with care. You begin to trust that you can make it through. And you will. Some people live their whole life in fear of pain. But a wise one sees pain and bows to it. You are here to show me something. Pain reveals where we are holding on too tightly. It shows us what we are afraid to lose. It shows us where our love lies. It also shows us that we are stronger than we thought. In Zen, we do not talk too much. We sit, we observe. But when we speak of pain, we speak gently. Because everyone carries something. A quiet ache, a broken hope, an old loss. You're not alone, and you do not have to carry it alone. Right view, right thought, they're like walking sticks for your journey. They do not take away the mountain, but they help you climb with steadiness and grace. They help you rest when you are tired. They remind you that you are not your pain. You are the one who sees it, the one who breathes through it, the one who keeps walking. Let the pain come. Let it teach you. Let it leave. When your thoughts are kind, your heart becomes calm. When your view is clear, your steps become sure. Pain does not disappear, but you learn to live with it, not as a burden, but as part of your awakening. And so breathe again. The wind is still moving. The sky is still vast. Your heart is still beating. Keep going, one breath at a time, one thought at a time, one small wise step forward. That is all it takes. Meditation, sitting with the fire without getting burned. In the stillness of the morning, imagine sitting quietly with your thoughts. The world is silent, and the only sound you hear is your breath moving in and out. Yet, within this silence, there is a storm. Your mind races, filled with worries, regrets, and fears. The pain from yesterday, the uncertainty of tomorrow, it all swirls together in the space of your mind. It feels overwhelming, like a fire that threatens to consume you. But what if I told you that in the very midst of this storm, you could find peace? What if, instead of running from the fire of your thoughts and emotions, you could sit with it, observe it, and let it burn itself out without letting it harm you? Meditation is not about escaping the world or suppressing your thoughts. It's about facing them, acknowledging them, and allowing them to pass without getting caught in their grip. When you sit in meditation, you are not trying to push away the painful thoughts. Instead, you let them come and go like clouds drifting across the sky. You watch them without judgment, without attachment. You simply observe. And in this observation, something miraculous happens. You realize that you are not your thoughts. You are not your pain. You are not your emotions. The practice of meditation in Buddhism teaches us the importance of sitting with discomfort. Pain is a natural part of life. We cannot escape it. But what we can do is change how we relate to it. Instead of running away from pain or trying to fight it, we can sit with it without fear, without resistance. In this way, meditation becomes a tool for transformation. By learning to sit with discomfort, we begin to see it differently. We no longer see pain as something to be avoided or feared. Instead, We see it as a part of the human experience, a part of the journey. And in this acceptance, there's freedom. The pain doesn't control us anymore. It no longer defines us. We become the observer of it, not its victim. When you meditate, you train your mind to be present. You teach yourself to let go of past regrets and future anxieties. You learn to simply be in the moment. And when you are in the moment, you realize that pain, too, is momentary. It comes and goes like waves in the ocean. Sometimes the waves are big and crashing, and other times they are small and gentle. But no matter what, they eventually subside. The key to sitting with pain in meditation is not to expect it to disappear right away. Sometimes the pain will be intense. Sometimes it will be subtle. But either way, you will notice that by simply observing it, by not reacting to it, you create space. And in that space, you will find peace. Think of it like sitting next to a fire. At first, the flames seem overwhelming, and the heat might be uncomfortable. But as you sit and simply watch the fire without trying to control it or escape from it, you realize that the fire is not as dangerous as you once thought. You begin to understand that you don't have to be consumed by the fire. You can sit beside it with respect and let it burn itself out on its own. This is the power of meditation. It teaches you to sit with your thoughts and emotions without being controlled by them. It helps you find calmness in the midst of chaos. And it gives you the strength to face life's difficulties with clarity and resilience. In meditation, we also learn about mindfulness, the ability to be fully aware of the present moment. This means noticing the thoughts that arise without judgment or attachment. It means being aware of the sensations in your body, the feelings that come and go, and the sounds around you, all without getting lost in them. As you sit in meditation, you will notice that your mind often wanders. Thoughts will come up, and you may feel the urge to follow them, to get caught up in them. But part of the practice is to gently bring your focus back to the breath, back to the present moment. This act of returning to the present, again and again, is where the transformation happens. In time, you will begin to realize that the pain you experience in life is not something you have to fight. It's not something that has power over you. It is simply a part of the ebb and flow of life. Just as the breath comes in and goes out, pain too comes and goes. By sitting with it, observing it, and letting it pass, you create a space for healing. You may wonder, is it really possible to sit with pain without being overwhelmed by it? The answer is yes. Meditation offers a way to develop the skill of emotional resilience. It doesn't make the pain go away, but it changes how you relate to it. Instead of fighting or resisting it, you learn to acknowledge it and allow it to pass. This is why meditation is so powerful. It allows you to be present with your emotions, to fully experience them, without being swept away by them. When you can sit with your pain without fear or judgment, you begin to transform it. You start to see that pain, like everything else in life, is temporary. It doesn't last forever. In the practice of meditation, there's also the recognition that nothing is permanent. The Buddha taught that all things are impermanent. The pain you feel today may not be the same pain you feel tomorrow. Your emotional state may shift just as the weather changes from day to day. And in this awareness, there's freedom. You don't have to hold on to pain because you know it will pass. As you continue to meditate, you will find that your relationship with pain changes. You no longer feel helpless in its presence. Instead, you begin to feel a sense of calm and control. You realize that you have the ability to sit with your pain, to observe it without judgment, and to allow it to pass in its own time. This is the wisdom of meditation. It teaches you that pain is not the enemy. It's simply a part of the journey. And by sitting with it, you transform it. You find peace in the midst of it. You become a master of your own mind and emotions. And in doing so, you find freedom from suffering. So, the next time you find yourself facing pain, remember this practice. Sit with it. Observe it. Don't run from it or try to escape it. Just be with it. And in time, You will discover that you are more than your pain. You are the one who can sit with it without being burned by it. The middle way, balancing hope and acceptance. The path of life is full of ups and downs, moments of joy and moments of sorrow. We all face difficulties, and sometimes it feels like the weight of the world is on our shoulders. Pain, loss, disappointment, they're all part of our human experience. But how do we deal with them? How do we move forward when it feels like everything is falling apart? In Buddhism, there's a concept known as the middle way. It is a way of living that encourages us to find balance. Balance between extremes, between hope and acceptance. It's the path of moderation, the path that avoids both indulgence and self-denial. This path teaches us that we don't need to escape pain, but we also don't need to allow it to consume us. Think about the times when you've experienced great hope. Hope can be a powerful thing. It drives us to pursue our dreams, to reach for the stars. But what happens when things don't turn out the way we hoped? Do we fall into despair? Do we feel crushed by disappointment? This is where the middle way comes in. Hope, while important, can sometimes lead to unrealistic expectations. When we cling too tightly to an outcome, we set ourselves up for disappointment. But this doesn't mean we should stop hoping or stop dreaming. Hope gives us the strength to move forward, to keep going even when the road is tough. The middle way teaches us to hold hope lightly, to allow ourselves to dream, but to also remain open to whatever life brings. We don't need to force things to happen. Sometimes, the most important thing we can do is to let go of our attachment to the outcome and trust that things will unfold as they are meant to. On the other hand, acceptance is equally important. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean resigning ourselves to a life of suffering. Instead, acceptance is the recognition that pain and difficulty are a natural part of life. They are not punishments. They are teachers. When we accept pain, we stop fighting against it. We stop resisting what is happening right now. And in doing so, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. In the middle way, hope and acceptance work together. Hope gives us the strength to face challenges, while acceptance helps us navigate those challenges with grace and peace. It's about finding the right balance, holding on to hope without clinging, and accepting the present moment without surrendering to despair. There's a story in Buddhism about a man who sought enlightenment. He went to many teachers, practiced many forms of meditation, and did everything he could to find peace. Yet, no matter what he did, he still struggled with his inner pain. One day, after years of searching, he met a wise monk who asked him, "What are you seeking?" The man replied, "I want peace. I want to be free from suffering." The monk smiled and said, "You are already free. The suffering you feel is not something outside of you. It is your attachment to it, your resistance to it, that causes the pain." This story reflects the essence of the middle way. It teaches us that suffering is not something that happens to us. It is the result of our attachments, our desires, and our unwillingness to accept life as it is. When we let go of our attachments and accept things as they are, we find freedom. Of course, this is not easy. It's not easy to let go of expectations, especially when we have invested so much in our dreams. It's not easy to accept pain, especially when it feels so raw and overwhelming. But the middle way teaches us that we don't need to choose between hope and acceptance. We can have both. We can hope for a better future while also accepting the present moment exactly as it is. We can dream and still be at peace with where we are right now. In your own life, think about the things that are causing you pain or frustration. Are you holding on too tightly to an outcome? Are you resisting something that is happening right now? The middle way invites you to ask yourself these questions. Can I let go of my attachment to this situation? Can I accept it as it is, without judgment or resistance? And at the same time, can I still hope for a brighter future, knowing that things will unfold in their own time? It's not about forcing yourself to be happy or pretending that everything is fine when it's not. It's about finding peace in the midst of uncertainty. It's about trusting that no matter what happens, you can handle it. You can find peace even in the storm. This is the essence of the middle way: to live fully, to hope deeply, and to accept gracefully. It's a path that brings balance to your life, a path that helps you navigate the challenges of life without becoming consumed by them. It's a path that allows you to experience the full range of human emotions: hope, joy, sadness, fear, and to do so with wisdom and compassion. As you walk this path, remember that you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know exactly what the future holds. The middle way invites you to trust the journey, to embrace both hope and acceptance, and to know that no matter what happens, you are exactly where you need to be. Conclusion: living peacefully through every storm. We come a long way together. Through all the parts of this journey, you've learned how to face pain, how to see it clearly, and how to transform it. You've learned that suffering is not something to avoid or fight, but something to embrace with understanding and compassion. You've learned that each painful experience is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to find peace within yourself. But let's pause here. Take a deep breath. Reflect for a moment on what we've covered so far. This whole time, you've been guided by the teachings of Buddhism, a path that invites you to let go of what no longer serves you and to embrace the present moment fully. It is a journey of letting go of expectations and accepting what is. Life, after all, is unpredictable. We cannot always control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it. What if, instead of running from discomfort, you sat with it? What if, instead of fearing your emotions, you allowed them to be there, without judgment? Pain is a natural part of life, but suffering is optional. It's in the way we relate to our pain, the way we hold it, and the way we transform it into wisdom that truly matters. The Buddhist concept of the middle way is something that can guide you through the most difficult times. It teaches us balance between too much attachment and too much detachment. It's about living fully in the world while not being consumed by it. When you practice the middle way, you begin to understand that no matter how stormy life may get, there's always a calm within you that you can return to. But how do you stay calm when the storms are fierce? How do you find peace when the world around you feels chaotic? The key lies in your mindfulness, your awareness of the present moment. It's in those quiet moments, when you pause and breathe, that you can find your center. When you face your pain with compassion, when you meet your suffering with understanding, it no longer holds the same power over you. You begin to recognize that pain doesn't define you. You are not your pain. You are the observer, the one who can see it without being consumed by it. Over time, with consistent practice, this way of being becomes second nature. You no longer run from discomfort. You walk through it with confidence, knowing that it will pass, just like everything else. Nothing lasts forever. This, too, shall pass. The storms of life are temporary. The peace within you is constant. When you realize this, you unlock a kind of freedom that allows you to live more fully, more peacefully, and more authentically. As you go forward, remember that the path to peace is not about avoiding pain, but about changing your relationship to it. It's about facing the challenges of life with an open heart and a clear mind. The more you practice mindfulness, the more you'll find that you can live with ease, even in the most difficult situations. You'll begin to see that every challenge is just another opportunity for growth. So, what does it mean to live peacefully through every storm? It means trusting yourself, trusting that no matter what life throws your way, you have the strength and wisdom to face it. It means cultivating a deep sense of inner peace that no external circumstance can shake. It means knowing that, even in the midst of turmoil, you are whole, you are enough, and you're always connected to something greater than yourself. And here's the most important thing: you don't have to do it alone. You've already begun this journey. and you have the tools you need to continue it. You have the teachings of Buddhism, the practice of mindfulness, and the support of this community. As you walk forward, know that you are not just navigating through life's storms. You are becoming a storm of your own, a force of peace, resilience, and wisdom. At this point, you may be wondering, what comes next? The truth is, the journey never ends. Life will continue to bring its challenges, its joys, and its sorrows. But the more you practice what you've learned here, the more you'll find that the storms, no matter how strong, will no longer overwhelm you. Instead, they will become opportunities for growth. You'll meet each moment with a calm mind, an open heart, and a steady spirit. Now, I encourage you to take everything you've learned and apply in your life. Be gentle with yourself, practice patience, and trust the process. Remember, healing doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual unfolding, a slow but steady path to peace. But with each step, you'll grow stronger, wiser, and more capable of facing whatever life throws at you. You are more than your pain. You are the peace that resides within. As we end this series, I want to thank you for taking this journey with me. I hope that the wisdom shared here has brought you a sense of comfort, clarity, and hope. I invite you to continue exploring, continue learning, and continue growing. The world is waiting for you to shine, and now you have the tools to do so. Before we finish, let me remind you, there's so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of viewers subscribe. If you found value in this video, if it has touched your heart or helped you in some way, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven. We want to continue sharing these teachings with you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear how this series has impacted you. May you live with peace. May you walk through life's storms with grace. And may you always remember that you're never alone on this journey. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your commitment to this path. Stay connected to your true nature, and let your peace shine brightly for the world to see.